Group project, those two words made me cringe in school because I knew that it would come down to the last minute with me doing all the work. If this sounds like you, stick around because I will show you how it doesn't have to be that way. Look, I don't know anybody that enjoys a group project. You have to rely on others to do work, and you have to communicate with them, and you have to keep them on task. Wait, but when you think about it, it actually prepares you more for the real world than any other type of assignment. So they do serve their purpose. So I've got several steps here that we're gonna go through to make sure your next group project runs smoothly. First of all, just remember this. Nobody wants to not contribute to the group project. Well, I won't say nobody. There are those lazy people that just don't care and they just want you to do all the work. But for the most part, people want to contribute to the group project. So just know that and keep that in the back of your head. When somebody falls behind, it's not like they're trying to disengage from the group. It's just life happens. Wanda has 5 doctor's appointments, and the next thing you know, she's missed 2 meetings. Jerry has to tuck his kids in at night, so he can't meet after 7, and then all of a sudden, you're stuck with all the work. Well, let's first break this down into 3 phases. And let's think about this like a project manager, because that's essentially what group projects are. You're managing a project. So those 3 phases are the assignment, the planning, and the execution. So let's start with the assignment phase. And in this phase, you're going to have somebody that's established as the organizer. That's kind of the project manager. Now, this isn't somebody that takes charge and tells everybody what to do, bosses them around. This is somebody that simply moves the work along. If you are in a group project right now, or you get assigned a group project, forward this video to your team so that they know that somebody needs to be the organizer. They need to play that project management role. And here's what it looks like. When you sit down for your first assignment meeting, you know, the one where everybody exchanges their names, phone numbers, and emails, you're going to ask who wants to organize this project. If nobody speaks up, that's probably gonna mean it's you that's gonna be the project organizer. Now, you can do this in a number of ways, but the best way I've found to kind of establish that tone as the project organizer is to ask questions. How do we make sure we get an A on this assignment? What does A-level effort look like for everybody? What dates and times can everybody meet? These are questions that you need to establish up front, and then you also are asking those questions and getting kind of that organizational role established up front too. So it understands more about the team and it establishes the project organizer. And then once you have a date and time that everybody can meet each week, or maybe you need to meet twice a week, you set up the calendar invites and you invite everybody to those meetings. So that's kind of step number 1. That's where we start with. Next, after the assignment role, we're moving into the planning phase. When you start the planning phase, this is where you're gonna make a list of all the tasks and responsibilities that are needed to complete the project. And then you're also gonna make notes where certain tasks are contingent on other tasks. If task 1 needs to be completed before task 2, you need to make sure and note that. And then you're going to have everybody initial next to the tasks and responsibilities they're gonna be accountable for. And then also next to those names or those initials, you're gonna put dates that they need to be due by. So this does a couple things. Number 1, you're gonna take a picture of this and send it to the team. And that's gonna make sure that they know what is theirs, what they're owning, what they're responsible for. Number 2, it tells them what time they need to have it done by. So you've now got this group identity established, the roles and responsibilities are there. And if you're starting to see where one person's taking up all the work, maybe ask questions like, how can we make sure that we distribute this evenly? Or how can we make sure that one person isn't doing all of the assignment? Because here's what it may seem like. That one person, that eager person that wants to get all the work in and they're the control freak and they want to do it all themselves, They may have the capacity to do that right now, but then an emergency pops up and you're having to suddenly redistribute that work. That's not fun. So make sure that you are evenly distributing the work based on that list of tasks and responsibilities. You have the dates listed there, and then draw lines next to which items or which responsibilities are contingent on other things being done. Next up is the execution phase. This is where the work gets done. This is where everybody's starting to do their tasks and responsibilities. And remember, you're meeting once a week, so that communication between your team is critical. You're able to then, in this execution phase, identify where you're at with all these tasks. You're able to ask questions like, what is the progress of item A? What's the progress of item B? And then you've got those lines drawn on which tasks and responsibilities are contingent on each other. So you know if item B is not done because item A is not done, you can use this to kind of leverage some accountability without calling someone out. So you're going to use this to have clarity and context on each of those tasks. You're going to ask questions like, how can we support you if somebody's falling behind? How can we make sure that this gets done on time? And then this is very important, kind of goes back to that planning phase. Make sure that all your tasks and responsibilities are not coming in the day before the due date. You want to make sure that you have enough time to kind of look at the finished product, make some final edits, and move some stuff around if you need to. So now that we've got this established and you've got this execution phase where work's getting done, you're holding people accountable in an indirect way, you're not being bossy, but you're pushing work along, you're gonna have a much smoother cadence for these group projects. And things are gonna go so much smoother because at the end of this project, everybody feels like they've accomplished the work, they've contributed, and you're gonna see the effort increase. So just remember those three phases, the assignment phase, the planning, and the execution, and use some of those tips the next time you get a group project. And again, don't hesitate to send this video to your group so that they can know what to expect and they can adopt some of these best practices even before the project's assigned. I hope this helps you. This is a way that I've thought about group projects and it really helps me. But let me know in the comments, what advice do you have for someone that's taking on a group project? Let me know. Thanks for watching.